Hello and welcome to the first ever talk from the Terrace from the dark side of Glasgow. Very close to Ibrox these boys are tonight. Yeah, folks, you're welcome back to the Talk from the Terrace podcast, available both on Celtic Fanzine TV and on audio on the Celtic Soul podcast. So please hit that subscribe and follow button so you'll never miss an episode. In this episode, In the Dark, I'm joined by Bhoys Ultras, Ross and James, who I had the pleasure of rolling back the years recently in Leverkusen. I rolled back the years when I joined the boys, or ended up in the middle of the boys in the stand, and what an atmosphere they created. I don't think my body was right for about 2 days with all the jumping and dancing around. I'm used to sitting down at games these days. I once was young, lads. I know you mightn't think it, but I once was young. And the atmosphere was electric. So, boys, you're very welcome to the show. And hopefully in the future we can talk about these great trips and the charity work that the boys group do, and then indeed the ultra scene. So that's another podcast, and maybe we might be able to get you in the life for that one. But for this one, why Bernard Higgins should not be employed by Celtic Football Club, and who he is, and what he's done.
Aye, right. So it's a long story, to be honest, mate. You could be here all day talking about what he's done. Basically, he was chief constable at Play Scotland, since 2013. He was more recently, he was the strategic lead for football. So this guy's been basically responsible for all operational issues with Police Scotland in terms of dealing with football fans. So see if you can pretty much think of any horror story that you've heard, and you've probably heard a few of them over the past few years of people being arrested. Friday mornings, the way people are treated at football, the constant surveillance, everything like that. That's basically boils down to him. He's been the head honcho that's kind of directing these tactics for a long time. And then obviously we're going to, for the looks of it, give him a job. You know what I mean? So there's a wee bit of fucking bad blood there that we're not happy about.
Yeah, it's for me anyway. When I heard his name being mentioned, I was very surprised because I did follow the Offensive Behaviour Act when it came in very closely, and the Fans Against Criminalisation, and the work that was done by the likes of the Trust, in supporting those who had been arrested and went to court. And this act is no longer, it's still up in the air, isn't it? But it's no longer. We won the court case.
Aye, well, the act was repealed. That was actually repealed halfway through my court case, so it was. So the act was repealed, but I think in the back of everybody's mind, even through that, you kind of always knew that the fight, the kind of war wasn't over, if that makes sense. The act was just a tactic that we're using. They were always going to move on to something else and find new ways. I can't trying to disrupt their lives. Do you know what I mean? For whatever reason, these people see organised football fans as a threat. I don't know if it's maybe a working class thing. They're scared that young working class boys kind of been organised. There's something in that seems to terrify them through the years. So I don't know. I really don't know where they're coming from it, but it's the way they deal with football fans is kind of
just mainly a power trip, really. That's the.
I really don't know. I don't know the motivations behind it. I really don't. But since we've started going to football, since we've kind of been organised, these people are evidently terrified. They're terrified of Green Brigade. They don't like us. There's something about young working class men when they get organised that really, really terrifies them. And you've seen it through the years. Any time we've organised a match, any time we've organised a Celtic games, you see them panicking. Do you know what I mean? And they kind of use all the pubs that are available, and then if they can't use their existing pubs, they seem to create new ones, which is what the offensive behaviour.
Or make that was brought into effect because of that. Because they wanted the police.
They couldn't use existing pubs, so they just created new ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and look, I'm just thinking back here to some of the stories I heard, about people who had been arrested and the families basically traumatized over this. Like the campaign, against, as you say, working class young football fans was disgraceful, really, because criminals, who were treated better when they were given notice they were going to be lifted. But this was Dawn Dawn raids, like, I suppose you could over dramatise it, but for those people who are caught
I think people struggle to believe. See, we're kind of desensitised to it now because we've spoke about it for years and we've kind of lived through it. So, see, when we talk about all this shit that's happened, to us it just kind of rolls off the tongue now. But you need to kind of take a step back and realise that it's just no normal. So you've got your dawn raids, right? So it was a Friday morning, and I'm pretty sure you've probably seen Paul for FAC and the Green Brigade being on, and he says that people used to leave their work before fucking 5 o'clock or whatever on a Friday morning. That's true. Everybody used to do that. We used to basically have to check in on our chats on a Friday to make sure nobody was lifted. Do you know what I mean? So everybody had to, if nobody commented on your chat by 10 o'clock on a Friday morning, then it was panic stations. You're going, oh shit, somebody's been lifted then. Do you know what I mean? Because obviously they've not been on their phone. There was all sorts of things that people we had to do to normality for a long time. Do you know what I mean? Which is absolutely bonkers, because it's when you need to step back. This is for going to the football, and don't get me wrong, we're no. We do this stupid shit. We're rowdy. Do you know what I mean? We're not. I get why normal people might not want to kind of associate with it at certain times, but for them to use the resources or put the resources into policing people like us is absolutely fucking breathtaking. When you take a step back and look at it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, we brought Paul into one of the Celtic AMs just to address, the Fans Against Criminalisation and what was going on in the courts. I think he might come back in then, and Jeanette would come in. So we were regularly updated with it. We covered it a lot in the Fanzine as well. But when did you first become aware that, Higgins was going to be the man that Celtic were looking to appoint?
Right, so it kind of started through the grapevine. It was actually Paul that got in touch with me. So he messaged me and he says, well, I don't know if this is factual or whatever, but he says, we've been told, and it seems to have originated for Bernard Higgins' family members or his mates or whatever that have started saying, oh, he's getting a Celtic gig, basically. So I don't know if his family's for Coatbridge or whatever, but the way Glasgow works, it's a small place, isn't it? So word kind of travels fast, and that's where the rumour started. So I think what's happened is, well, I know what's happened. Like, GB have basically approached the club and they've said to them, is this true? The club have they've no denied it, they've no confirmed it. So that's kind of that speaks volumes itself. So straight away they've been in touch with us, and then that's when we've decided kind of we need to do something here, and that's how like the campaign to stop him getting the job is came about, and it's not been a well thought out kind of. We've not had a lot of time to think about this. We're kind of just playing it by ear. Do you know what I mean? Each week we're discussing what we're going to do next and what we're going to do the week after, and trying to plan as much as we can. But it's not like the Offensive Behaviour Act where we knew this was coming in. We knew we're going to have to raise funds. We're going to have to do this. We're going to have to put this in place. This has kind of just been thrusted on us. Very short notice. You're talking the space about 2 weeks. We've had to kind of try and rally everybody together and get the word out to try and stop it.
Just one thing as well that we've probably might have not been said, but it's scary to think if that wasn't heard by Paul, what could have happened, because that could have been rushed through and nobody knowing about it.
Aye.
And going by the way that Celtic have dealt with this so far, we wouldn't have known until he was already in, until it was announced. Aye. And that's a scary thing that we only found out this through the slip of a tongue of a family member or a friend of Bernard Higgins.
It's been some loudmouth running their mouth off, kind of boasting. That's what's happened here. And if that didn't happen, then
we need to thank them, really, because that's thanks very much. Because
thank the gossip team.
Exactly.
Yeah. I spoke to Matt earlier in the show, Matt McGlone from The Alternative View, and Matt was saying that, like, if disappointment and these negotiations were going on, because we think they are, because you've heard the rumour, but we also have a chairman who denied it. No, sorry, he didn't deny it, but wouldn't comment on it.
Aye.
Now, if Matt's correct in what you're saying, Matt is saying that he retired after COP, whatever you call it, COP 23, was it, or whatever it was, that big.
I don't know if he's actually retired. I don't know if he's actually retired, but so we were told that COP 26 is going to be his last gig.
26, COP 23.
Yeah.
So, if he was to retire after that, and he was to be given a job with Celtic, well, they wouldn't have waited for him to retire. These negotiations, he would have had to get a pay deal.
A job at that level. exactly. There's going to be a shadowing period. There's going to be a kind of a period where you go and you settle in and everything. But we already knew that Ronnie Hawthorne was leaving, right? So we obviously meet with the club semi-regularly. We knew that Ronnie Hawthorne was leaving. We didn't know that his job was essentially going to be split in two, or it's going to be divided up. So we thought it was going to be a straight like-for-like replacement. So that's why nobody's kicked off that it's going to be an ex-cop. Do you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the chances are if somebody getting a job like that is going to be an ex-cop. So it's nothing even to do with the fact it's an ex-cop. This is like a personal thing with Bernard Higgins, because he made it personal for a long time. He put himself in the media and he made himself the face of this campaign, and he was going to stamp this out and stamp that out. Do you know what I mean? So he's fucking through the battle lines himself a long time ago.
So reading between the lines, he may have already signed the contract, and contract
very possibly, mate. Who knows? The only people that know that are the club.
Yeah.
Right. So
and if he did sign a contract and they don't give him the job, he'd have to be paid off.
Aye.
Which is another own goal by the club. And if he is given the job, this campaign isn't going away, and it's grown and grown. And it's not just, it's not just the usual suspects, the Ultras, the Celtic Trust, members of supporters clubs. This is across the board. This is people in boxes. This is people in posh seats. This is people who have big jobs, who just do not believe that this person is the person that should be employed by Air Football Club. And when I say Air Football Club, it is Air Football Club.
You're right. See, the thing is as well, right? We've been careful and we've been careful not to make it just us in the Green Brigade, because this has to be a wide scale thing. And I think the club have kind of thought that eventually we'll kind of play it that way, but we've been careful not to. This has to be a support wide thing. You know what I mean? We can't make it just about us, because there's a lot of stuff we could have done, and we could have had protests, and we could have caused a scene, but we don't want it, because it'll just be us in the Green Brigade that are doing it. This has to be completely support wide. It has to involve everybody, and everybody has to kind of put their head above the parapet here and say, no, it's not just them. Everybody's affected here. We need to kind of have a bit of unity and the support, and I'm glad that seems to be happening. It's just the first time in a long time I can remember this many people or this many groups being united on one issue. Do you know what I mean? So,
and Ross, if I can think back, if we think back to the own goals already, with the own goal in the summer with Eddie Howe, then we had the own goal with it's a headhunted CEO, Dominic McKay, who went on a whistle stop. I've been at parties longer than he was at the club, but this is the biggest own goal, and it just shows to you that how far removed the board are from the fans, and that's fans. That's young fans, old fans.
It's a different planet they live on.
But see the thing is, that's Millis as well. They don't need to be, right. We've been trying week by week now, right. See, since this campaign started, we've been trying to speak to them. The Green Brigade and us have been trying to speak to them. We've been trying to do it collectively. But it's not as if we're having these protests and we're shouting from outside and saying, do you know what I mean, causing a scene. We want to speak to them. We want to engage with these people, but it's them that don't seem to want to engage with us. They're happy to hide away. I really don't know what it is, and it's not just the issue with Higgins. They're happy to hide. They're happy to hide away. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you seen it last season. They just disappeared. Do you know what I mean? As if they didn't exist. They went into their bunkers. I really don't know. I don't know what it is. It's not like we're going to fuck it. What are they scared of? Do you know what I mean?
No, it's not as if we're normal people. It's just I can't understand it. Logically thinking, it doesn't make any sense for them not to talk to us. I don't understand what the point of them not talking to us. Dialogue needs to be had, because if dialogue's not had, it just gets worse. We're in a rock and a hard place. They're in a rock and a hard place. Nobody wants this to happen. People want to go and support the team and do what they can. But unfortunately, if it keeps going the way it's going, that sadly things will have to happen that we don't want to. Nobody wants to happen.
And boys, that's brilliant to hear, because no one does, and there is unity within Ange, the players, and the fans, and you could see that. You could see that on Sunday again in Dundee, and this is not helping anybody. Having silence for 30 minutes or whatever it was in the stadium a couple of weeks ago doesn't help the team, but they're not helping themselves in the boardroom by not speaking. And the only way this can be resolved is through talking.
That's it. And it's only, and as I say, and we know that, and we appreciate that. And I think for a long time, a lot of people thought that kind of us in the Green Bay have been these daft wee boys. We've been doing this for a long time now, right? We know how to play the game. We know how to play with the club. We know how to speak to people. We know how stuff goes. We know when to draw the line or when to push it. Do you know what I mean? we know when we've been out of order, we can take our medicine when we've took the piss, which happens now and again.
And we have.
I mean? And we have, and as I said, we've taken our medicine when we've been arseholes, to be honest with you. So the club know that we're responsible and we're happy to concede when we're right or when we're wrong. But in this particular issue, they've disappeared. They really need to engage with us. So that's the only way this is going to be resolved. Because what I think they're really wanting to do is hoping this will die down. This is going nowhere. If anything, it'll be escalated. It'll not be. Do you know what I mean? There'll not be the silences and stuff are the way it is now. But do you know what I mean? There's a lot of smart people involved with this campaign now, and there's a lot of life experience, and we will think of ways to escalate it. And we've already got stuff in mind if we need to. So.
And Ross, like I hear you, you have done daft things, and I've criticised you, and I've also give you applause when you've created brilliant atmospheres and done brilliant work for charity. But you see, Ultra Group raising money for charity doesn't sell papers. It doesn't make headlines. Getting arrested as a criminal will make a headline. And if they can make and let's face it, the tabloid media is no friends to us. No, at Celtic, but. My biggest fear, and I'm sure this is around many people's thoughts, is my biggest fear that they don't want to be seen to step down to the Ultras, the Celtic Trust, or certain supporters clubs, and they see if they step down now, if they move us now, but this is different. This is a contentious issue, and my biggest fear is. It's not my biggest fear isn't that we win the cup, but while the players are in the shower and while we're all out celebrating, they announce Bernard Higgins, and that's my biggest fear, And then
it's sad that I would even put that past them, to be honest with you. So that's how it, But see, the thing is as well, right? You're right. They don't want to step down, right? I get that. We get that, but. The main thing is here that we don't want him employed at the club. Nobody wants him employed at the club. So see, even this isn't a climb down. They need to change their way of viewing this. This is for the good of everything. There's not going to be any celebrating if he doesn't get the job. It'll be a relief. Do you know what I mean? We're not going to be golden and we're not going to be celebrating. They're doing good. I'm sure it'll be the same. There's nothing. We're not going to be rubbing into anybody, because what this should signal. See, if they do speak to us, this should signal the way forward. The fact that we can actually have dialogue and we can resolve stuff like adults rather than them being one side and us being the other side. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be disagreements. There's going to be a lot of stuff, but this should be the start of something new. Get that. See if we can get over this and we can work through this together. We can kind of get through anything. Do you know what I mean? This is one of the biggest issues that's facing us. That probably will face us a long, long time. So if we can get on a table and speak about this and deal with it the right way, then you can kind of do anything through the years. Do you know what I mean? Which is the way they should be looking at it. They should be looking for a positive outcome of this rather than fucking the usual them and us approach.
The thing is with dialogue as well, as soon as the Green Brigade asked, or Paul asked whoever was in contact with Celtic at the time, the first thing they should have said is, right, we'll have a talk about it. It shouldn't have been shut down, shouldn't have been blanked. It should have been that the dialogue should have started. That prevented every single thing that's happened up to date, and that's all they had to do, talk. And that's what we keep going back to. But I just don't get why they can't just speak to people. It's as if we're aliens or there's something wrong with us. I don't get it, and that's all we want to say to them is just talk to us, and we'll talk back to them. We'll have a meaningful conversation to work this out. That's all.
Yeah. Oh, look, as a member of the Celtic Trust myself, so like we disagree within the Celtic Trust, on issues, and like we're going to disagree as a big family, as the Celtic family. We all disagree, and we've all got different. We've all got different ideas on how we want the club to be run, and like those in power, I've got grievances with how long they're there. But for them not to engage in dialogue on this one is it's one that's really pissing me off, because it's one that really needs to be talked about, because we need to get behind the team for 90 minutes. We are behind the team. Andrew's with us. We've seen that. The players are with us. We're united. The only ones that are pissing outside the tent now is those running the club, and they need to come in.
See, the thing is, Millis, I still think that as much as we use sound bites like these people are out of touch, right? But in this case, they really are. I genuinely believe there's some people, probably within the board, that genuinely think if they can hold out for this, or they can get Bernard Higgins in, the people, the undesirables, as they would see us and others, are going to disappear. They're in Planet Janet. That's just not the case. Do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter who comes in or whatever. We're not going anywhere. We're not an English Premiership team where you're going to sell tickets to fucking tourists. Do you know what I mean? We're literally going nowhere. See if it means just having to be outside the stadium for a year or two, then so be it. We're still going to be there. We're still going to be travelling away again. We're still going to be doing everything. So there as well, getting on a table and speaking to us like adults. That's what this ultimately comes back to. Exactly. They need to realise we're going nowhere. We're no stupid wee boys, and we're easy to deal with. And that is literally very simple.
A lot is involved in the active fan scene more so than others, but as a lot of people been involved in the Green Brigade previously, and as ourselves, but 15 years you're talking of an active fan scene at least, from when the Green Brigade was of course formed in 2006. So now this is the problem. We've been 15 years. Why would, just because Bernard Higgins, he's going to, say for talking sake, he comes in and he bans us all, but as if people go to that, right, that's us done, that's 15 years, that was good run we had. As Ross said, it just doesn't work like that. It just in real life, it's not going to work. We're not going to just give up and just not go to football.
We're going to be saving themselves a lot of grief and saving us a lot of grief and saving every supporter a lot of grief. I think just get rid of the table here. To give you a wee update, we've asked them again this week, right, and we're waiting on word back for them to meet with us. We're not asking for any commitments on Bernard Higgins or nothing. All we have asked the club to do is commit to meeting with us. That's it. They don't need to tell us anything else. Just commit to actually sitting around a table with us. That's all we've asked them. We're still waiting on word back to them. So that's where we're at the minute.
Hopefully we'll see the word back.
Aye. Well, that's it. But as I say, we're not asking for a lot. We're asking to sit down and speak to them, and that's it. And we'll take it for there. Whatever happens for there, we'll take it for there. But that has to be the starting point here. Because let's be honest, we don't want to be in silence at games. We don't want to be protesting. We don't want to be doing fucking anything else. We want to be going supporting Celtic the best way we can. Particularly at this point where we seem to have a manager that gets it. Do you know what I mean? And stuff's falling into place. Do you know what I mean? So this is just the opposite of what we want to be doing now. Yeah, and it could easily be avoided by literally sitting around a table, and that's the starting point, and we'll take it for there. That's all we've asked the club to do, and that's where we're at the minute. Still waiting a response.
Well, it would be a huge act of betrayal to appoint Bernard Higgins in so many fans' eyes, and I hope someone in that boardroom has the sense to know that and to address it and to start dialogue so that this doesn't happen and that we can all be united and win the league this year. Because that's the big thing we want to do. We want to take our title back from the new club over the city. And
that's it. Well, see the thing is, you heard Andrew on Sunday. He says the fans are the most important people at the club, right? So he's not saying that when there's a crowd of people sitting in silence. He's saying that when he sees how good the support was at the weekend. Yeah. So I mean, that's what we should be having every week. But bringing somebody like Bernard Higgins is the whole idea of him coming in is to stop scenes like that. Do you know what I mean? That's not the type of crowd that they want. But evidently, the manager sees it as an asset. Yeah. Everybody else sees it as an asset. Celtic sees it, the actual club sees it as an asset when they can make money. See it
when it suits them. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So,
yeah. Well, look, we're never all going to be singing off the hymn sheet of Celtic as fans within the different supporters groups and that. But I think on this one we are singing off the one hymn sheet, and I think that the campaign will continue. And I wish everybody that's involved, be they making a banner or putting a post on Facebook or being active in trying to get a meeting with the club over this, I wish them well, and we will do our best here to try and promote the good work that the Celtic fans are doing on this campaign, because this is essential that Bernard Higgins does not become an employee of Celtic Football Club, which me, you, and all the other fans fund.
No, you're right, mate. And I think as well, see, like, just as a wee last point, I don't know if we're going to finish here, but see, as much as there's a lot of negativity around this and what we've been having to do like this campaign, there's been a lot of positive things as well, because you see the potential and the talent and the commitment of people and their support. Do you know what I mean? And I think everybody should be proud of that. The standard of people and how much people are willing to give towards this football club. Do you know what I mean? And I think the board need to also recognise that as well, because you don't get that everywhere. No. I think they think that's a normal thing with a football club, but it's definitely not. This is unique to us. Do you know what I mean? the amount of involvement, the amount of activism, and the amount of talent, and the amount of commitment that people put into this. Do you know what I mean? And as a support, we should be proud of that with everybody. Do you know what I mean? So
listen, boys, 100% agree with you, and I know you've got important work to do tonight, so I'm going to let you get back into the heat and do it. Folks, just a quick one. We're back in we're back in Murphy's with Celtic AM on Thursday. We've got some Betters fans coming in and a few other guests popping along, and you wouldn't know, maybe one or two of the boys might be along as well before they go and create the noise for the boys in Celtic Park. Folks, more than 90 minutes, issue 118. There's about 10 copies left. You can get them on CelticFanzine.com. They're also in the Carlton bookstore and also out in Coatbridge in the candy store. So thanks very much for everyone who bought the new issue. Boys, it's been a pleasure to chat. Keep up the good work with the campaign. And please, to anyone listening who hasn't got behind the campaign, join the campaign, see if you can help out. Send a letter to the board. You go onto the Celtic Trust website, there's a template. It's also on our website. And send your thoughts to the board and tell them that you don't want Bernard Higgins anywhere near Celtic Park as an employee. And join other Celtic fans, Celtic Supporters Clubs, Celtic Supporters Association, the Celtic Supporters Trust, the Green Brigade, the North Cove, the Bhoys, and many others. And let the board know that this appointment is a step too far for us to take. Boys, thanks very much.
Thanks for having us on, mate. All right, mate.
Thank you very much.
And hopefully the next time we get you on, we can talk about the good work and the atmosphere that the boys create. Hail, hail, boys.
Thank you, mate. All right, cheers.